Kyle here from All Media Reviews, here to do CD A to Z, letter C, part two. So I'll just get going here. It's kind of it's a longer list than the last one, so hopefully this won't be so long. But so I have I know I have another copy of their album Ham, but the only one that I have intact with everything, the CD and the actual booklet and everything like that, and the jewel cases from the Chap, the British band, the Indie band, Mega Breakfast from 2008. Their best record, their masterpiece to me. It's got the song Proper Rock, which was like the hit, but yeah, it was their best record to me. But anyway, the Chap, Mega Breakfast, weird cover and stuff like that, but they've always had like sort of a very dry, like British sense of humor. It fits somewhat, with Monty Python, but anyway, the Chap. So, all right. Then I've got an album from it's Joey Vera's project, I believe. Bass player originally with Armored Saint, then Fate's Warning, and he's been playing with someone else. And they reunited with Armored Saint, but anyway, he played on one of the USI albums at least, maybe, or maybe all of them, maybe all of them. Or no, Sean Malone was on at least the first two. That's right, but he also played anyway. He'd worked with Jim Matthias, but his album, his side project that was kind of like Porcupine Tree and OSI, called A Chinese Fire Drill. Their album Circles came out mid 2000, 2006. I could have put this on the Empire list. I probably should have, but I didn't even put the 2009 OSI album on there. But well, it's all in retrospect. But yeah, I like this album. It's kind of been forgotten in some ways, although the Fates Warning fans, I'm sure, still appreciate it. But yeah. Anyway, Joey Vera, he does the vocals on this, I believe, and it's good. I mean, it's not amazing, but it is in that style of Porcupine Tree and OSI to some degree. So and my cat is wanting attention still. I don't know what's going on here, but all right. So I've got both proper albums. They had like an EP also, or maybe it was the singer, but both proper albums that considered from Australia's own Clan Zoo, and I talked about them in the Umpire list, the early parts of them. Rua from 2002, I think it was 2002, 2000, and then Black Coats and Bandages from 2004, I think 2003, 2004. Should know those years more. But they each have a number of really good songs. My favorite on Rua is you're listening to a dead man speak, and then Words for Snow, um, and All the People Now. That's a catchy track. And Black Coats and Bandages, One Bedroom Apartment is the biggest banger on this, but it's sort of folk, post rock, sort of Western, um, with violin and Gavin or Declan's rather. I always call him Gavin because I think of Dredge, but um, my cat is chewing one of the boxes over there. But anyway, yeah, both Clan Zoo records, excellent. I'm glad I have them on CD. I would love them to come on vinyl someday. I don't know, the odds are pretty low, but I believe Declan has a solo album or like an EP that I've listened to, but I've never found a physical copy of. But cat's gonna settle down here. So all right. So I do have, and I showed this in the albums of the year series last year from 1995. That was the last one I did. The Clark Di Miola Ponte Rite of Strings project. It's like acoustic jazz, but it's like acoustic fusion. Some flamenco in it. I think a little bit of flamenco, but I love a lot of this sucker. It's one of the best jazz records or jazz related records from the 90s for sure. I know they did Song to John for John Coltrane, and um, they're all like each one of them wrote, and reunited Stanley Clark and L.D. Mule, of course. This is when Return of Forever wasn't really around, of course, in mid '90s. But yeah, Rite of Strings, essential listening for a jazz fusion fan, especially from the '90s. So then I bought this when I was in high school, and I didn't realize, you know, that's interesting. It's not a two disc set, but it says it was. Two record set on one. Okay, that's what it was. London Calling from the Clash. I don't like love the Clash, but among the sort of early punk bands, the biggest names, the Clash are the one I probably appreciate or respect the most because they weren't just pure punk. They had like a reggae element obviously at points, and they were kind of Zeppelin like at points. London Calling, the title track, of course, maybe the most famous track on here. This songs like Lost in the Supermarket, that was one. Clamp Down. Lost in the Supermarket is one of my favorites on here. I bought this. This came 79. The album came out in 79. I bought this 1992, 93. But 19 tracks. Train in Vain is the last track, and that's the one a lot of people know. And it was on a box that my friend from high school included on like a classic rock box thing. But Don't Stand By Me, do very reggae like, but probably influenced by the Police and vice versa. But yeah, The Clash, London Calling, it's very famous, very loved by a lot of people. Some will consider it one of the greatest albums of all time. I'm not going to go that far, but I mean, I haven't listened to the whole Clash catalog. It would be my go-to, of course. So, all right, something completely different. And I have this. I was totally trying to find any and all like indie-tronic, electronic rock bands of the 2000s. One of them was this band called Chlor. I can't remember if this is the one that came out in 2005. This album, I didn't have it on the Empire list, of course, but this is a self-titled debut album made in England. I think they are British. Either the part of England or New York. A lot of those bands are coming from. It's usually two songwriters too, but a few of these have like a huge Bowie element because there's a few others like Opera House and Late of the Pier was the one that I probably after H Androids I was most drawn to. But Chlor were pretty decent, but I mean it's of that style, very kind of dance punk with electronic sides and some odd rhythms and vocal harmonies at points. But I don't think they feature vocals as much as even Late of the Pier or of course Apes and Androids, slash Clawphones Powell. But anyway, I think it's the only album they had. The British, I'm pretty sure this is British. 2005 Chlor. Says the debut album featuring the singles Love Plus Pain and Outline. So, go back and listen to that. All right, so here's a big collection. I think this might be the end. No, the big there's of one band. Yeah, so I did a series of videos on them and did a ranking. This was many years ago, one of the early days of my channel, but I've talked about them regularly. Minnesota's own Cloud Cult. Here's my Cloud Cult, my stand. I have some DVDs in this cabinet next to me, but one or two. But here's the my CD collection, which isn't huge, but isn't small. But anyway, doing this in the wrong order, but so their debut album from was it 2001? It says on here. I think it was 2000, technically. But they had the Shade Project before that, which I've heard some of online. But yeah, Who Killed Puck, which has the track Where It Starts, which has that line. I really love your, I found God in Steve Miller. Really love your peaches. Let me shake your tree. That phrase, I found God, but the title track, You Can Come Back Again. It's more raw because the early Cloud Cult is more, yeah, like bedroom rock in some ways. It was mostly Craig Minowa doing different stuff, but Who Killed Puck? Well, then we go on. That was 2000, I believe. It says 2001, and it was repressed. I got these in the wrong order again, don't I? Maybe the second album was Aurora. I always get these two mixed up. Aurora Borealis. No, this says 2003, so maybe they came out the same year. They Live in the Sun and Aurora Borealis came out around the same time, 2002, 2003. Both, again, experiments, some loops, samples. The vocals aren't as refined, but I appreciate the experimentation as much as anything. They have a few tracks in here I like. What is it? On the Sun, the opening track. Of course, this is they're going through the therapy of losing their son, Cade, and that's a lot of the premise in the little picture. Craig and Connie. Yeah, people love this record. I remember comparing it to Radiohead right around the time Kid A came out. But Aurora Borealis and They Live on the Sun. And then this was 2005, I believe. So, they maybe waited a couple years to release this. They released an album almost every year there for a little while. It says 2004. Actually, I should have shown that. So let me show this one first. I got this as a re-release. Lost Songs from Lost Years. And I think some of the Shade Project is on here. This came out, I guess, initially in 2003 and it was re-released in 2009. But if you're a Cloud Cult fan, this is definitely something you need, but you probably already know about it. But Lost Songs for Lost Years. I mean, in the canon of their catalog, it's not often mentioned, but yeah. So yeah, it has the different years going back to 93, 98. Actually, this is a re-release because it's got stuff from 2007, 2005, 2006. So I don't know. it's an archival release with that was updated, but because it just mentioned that in this version that this is a little bit of a breakthrough for them, sort of with the indie culture. Um, uh, Advice from the Happy Hippopotamus, which has a song Transistor Radio, I believe. Yes. Happy Hippo. A lot of these albums have, well over 10 tracks. This one has 23 actually. The Man That Jumped Out of the Window. But I think officially this came out, it says 2004. I thought it was 2005, but around that time it was re-released. But they were still kind of just like a little entity that the people that knew him loved him, but they weren't getting exposure. And that's why I really only barely heard of them at that point. So, and then in 2007, yes, and I went through this in the Empire calendar, Meaning of Eight, which I came out, and I find is a breakthrough from a lineup and a sound and a songwriting approach wise. This to me is like, in some way, I don't think of it this way so much, but a little bit like Cloud Cult 2.0. Because I recognize the style and the approach to their music, starting with this record to the present day. But Chain Reaction, Chemicals Collide, Pretty Voice, um, Dance for the Dead, all these are live staples. 2 by 2 is really catchy and energetic, even though it still again has 18 tracks. But it was just production wise, it was much better, a step up and refined. So the Meaning of Eight in 2007. Then the album that I first heard by them, I got them to sign it. Feel Good Ghosts, Tea Partying Through Tornadoes from 2008. And I talked about this in the 2008 Empire calendar, but I love it. No One Said It Would Be Easy. Everybody here's a it picks up where the Meaning of Eight left off, and almost does it one ups it. Journey of the Featherless, the gang vocals, the harmonies, the sad nature, the string parts. Love You All is just super, the vocoder and everything. It's super melancholy and sad. Anything like someone passes away, I always think of that, or when you're gonna go. When it's my time to go, I love you all. Yeah, a fantastic record. Feel Good Ghosts. Tea Partying Through Tornadoes from Cloud Cult from 2008. And then their masterpiece to me, nearly a perfect record, Light Chasers, which they did play live or about to play live this year. Not here, I forget where, like in Tennessee or something like that. They did do it. They did something live with it. I want to say they did a stream live, also, but this is a this is a big epic journey concept album. It has you could say this album has Everybody Here Is a Cloud, but Running with the Wolves probably got more exposure. It was used on commercials and stuff. And I think of that as maybe the signature Cloud Cult track in some ways. But my favorites on here, Room Full of People with In Your Head. I put Running with the Wolves on there. Today We Give Ourselves to the Fire, The Birth Journey to Light Part 2. The Exploding People's great. There's so much energy. They reprise certain motifs in it. It's there's a couple parts where you hear Craig Swallow and that song The Birth I don't love. Um, and Dawn. Those are the only two kind of slightly lesser tracks. Everything else just flows, a little intervals. The dynamics on this record, it just I was like, I liked Feel Good Ghost a lot, but I was like, I can't believe this is even better. Saw them live at First Avenue. They did a 2 night stand. I gotta see them for the sound check. Actually, I remember that they had free pizza from Pizza Luce. But yeah, Light Chasers still is their greatest work. It's one of the best records of the 2010s for sure. Um, Someday maybe it will be reissued on vinyl in an environmental friendly way, recycled vinyl maybe. So then in 2013 they followed that up with the album Love, which wasn't as good as Light Chasers, but I got Sarah to sign this and some of the other people. But it's grown to like it a lot. This album by Cloud Cult Love, I think people overlooked it, and because Light Chasers was so good, but the song Friends, what is it? Good Friend was the one that radio was playing, like the local indie station, the Current. Sleepwalker though is the biggest gem on here. The riffs. That's very dynamic. It's not metal, but it's very heavy. One by one is great. One by they're again continuing the use of those big gang vocal layers. Just always work. Complicated Creation, The Calling, catharsis. The show starts now. Again, I don't know if I did my rankings. If I'd put this, I'm not sure they put out a record as, I mean, the one that followed I like a little bit more, but I love how this album has grown on me. I mean, it's not a perfect record, but the best songs on it really stand out. So then they put out this album that I was in awe with for like a year after seeing the film, especially The Seeker in 2016. They made the film, had Josh Radnor from How I Met Your Mother, of course, showing. There's no dialogue in the film, but it has the song that the biggest one is "You Never Were Alone." I just go get blubbering. I fall into tears when I hear that every time. That like the middle section. So almost like Marillion's, The Great Escape. It's in that category for me. But this has several other songs that talking about sort of astrophysics and metaphysics, especially. To the Great Unknown, No Hell is super catchy and it's a banger. They've done 2 or 3 songs like that since actually on every record, so they keep coming up with these big, energetic gang vocal songs. Everything that you thought you had, sad but kind. I mean, I this album brings me to tears still. Pilgrimage, um, Through the Ages, the closing track. Yeah, I mean, people didn't like it as much, but I loved it. I don't like it as much as Light Chasers, but it definitely I have a strong, if it's not as much of a strong emotional, if not more emotional attachment to it, just because of the way the film is, the death of someone, thinking about time and space and what could be found. But yeah, like The Seeker and I have the DVD actually. I have it on vinyl actually too. The one album I do from Cloud Cult. Then this was actually a year or two before the Seeker. They did Unplug. I've got on CD also. This is a show they did at that theater, say in Northeast Minneapolis. But yeah, so it was them all doing acoustic, and a lot of stuff from Light Chasers and Feel Good Ghosts and Love, of course. And some of the others have pretty voices on here. But yeah, the arrangements are different on this. But anyway, I love Cloud Cult. They're, again, my favorite local band here in Minnesota, but I don't think of them as a local band. That's why they're not in the local section. So moving on again, that was a big epic list of Cloud Cult. So now another band that's pretty extensive catalog, even though I don't have anywhere near, I don't have half their catalog. But here's my Coheed and Cambria compact disc collection. I have, of course, a CD copy of the debut album, The Second Stage Turbine Blade from 2002. I like some moments on it, but it's a little too raw and punkish for me. But I was getting into them, and the time I was getting into them, this is one of the records, and I got it, and anyway, I got this at Amoeba Records. It was hard to use at that time. I think it's pretty easy now, but so then of course I have a used copy. I don't know where, but back in 9/10, September 10th, 2005. In Keeping Secrets, Silent Lords 3. Fantastic album. My CD's coming out of the little case there. But it's not quite as good as the one that followed it, but it's damn close. I mean, the second to last track, Lighthouse something, is one. It's probably my second favorite Coheed song. But anyway, I'm not going to open it up and show all the different artwork stuff. But I don't have the other cover. I'd like to get another CD copy that has the little cover face like I do for the next one. But that was from 2004, of course. So then I have the version with the DVD. I think they show David Bertrill in this of Good Apollo 1, Burning Star 4 Volume 1, which, yeah, it came with an extra DVD, of course. I guess I'll do this as much as it's a bit of a pain. The DVD. But yeah, this is one of the 5 or 10 best albums of the 2000s to me, and in the Empire genre. As much as the lyrics are still super creepy and dark at points, guys kind of psychotic sounding. But it's all in the concept. There's definitely a few expletives, but it's kind of tame compared to now. But talked about it ad nauseum. Welcome Home. The Willingwell Suite, of course, is the biggest part of it. 10-speed God's Blood and Burial, super catchy. The Suffering was a pop hit. Mother May I. But anyway, Coheed's Good Apollo 1, on Burning Star 4, From Fear Through the Eyes of Madness. So then I've got a few other Coheed related discs. I don't know if this is a DVD or a CD. It might be. It's a live recording live at Las 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 La Zona Rosa, in 2004, March 19th, 2004. So this is before Good Apollo 1 had come out, but yeah, I don't think this is a bootleg though. I think this is an official release, but it's got the Coheed, symbol, yeah, there it is, 2004, March 19th, recorded live. Yeah, so it's a live album, it's a live recording. So then I've got the another live album from them, the Live at the Starland Ballroom, comes with a DVD, uh, and a CD. And this is also, I think, from the Keeping Secrets period. They were releasing a lot of Yeah, this came out before. I need a live album from the Good Apollo one, the Never Ender one. They did the whole thing, but Starland Ballroom, so it's like a DVD CD again. They were just, being milked. I mean, they were kind of blowing up, especially when, but that was 2004. Yeah, I guess you could say we're Keeping Secrets or even before that. So then I did, of course, buy the sort of deluxe edition of the follow-up, Good Apollo 2, No World for Tomorrow, which isn't an awful record, but it was ultimately pretty disappointing. It wasn't as proggy. It does have Taylor Hawkins, as I came to learn. I thought he was on the first one. He was on the second one. He played on it. Because Josh, I don't know what happened. Josh Epard hadn't rejoined, was in the band at this point. Yeah, the Running Free. It's got some decent songs. Mother Superior, The Reaping, the title track. It has one of these songs is very Pink Floyd like. But yeah, it's okay. I like it better than the debut album, the punkish debut album, and I like it more than some of the records that followed it. The one that followed it was, oh, so much worse. You're the Black Rainbow. But I stopped buying their CDs at this point. I need to get their last two records on vinyl. I don't know if I'll get them on CD. Maybe I will. So that's it for my Coheed collection. My CD stack is gonna collapse here. So all right, trying to get through the rest of the C's here. I have three compact discs from this band. Of course, I talked about them in my '80s, mostly '80s, albums of the year series last year. Um, so Crimson Glory, I have the first album, the self-titled debut album from, was it 19? It was like '86 or '80. I want to say it was '86, maybe in '80. Yeah, I think it was '86, '86 or '8. It was '87. Yeah, it says '86 initially. It says '87 was distributed, but it has the song Azrael, Valhalla, Queen of the Masquerade. I like this album. Very kind of Queensryche like at points, but anyway, another Florida, progressive power metal band in that period with Savatage and some other bands that were coming up at that time. But then their masterpiece to me, which I do have on vinyl, came out. It was '88, a couple years later. From Crimson Glory, Transcendence. Lady of Winter, Painted Skies, Mask of the Red Death, Lonely, well, Burning Bridges. Love this record. It's '80s prog metal, so it is '80s prog metal. Has its '80s production. It does have a hair metal element to it, but I like it more than debut, and it came out a couple years later. And when I was getting into bands like first Fates, when I was recommended Crimson Glory, they were the one band that really stuck. I never got into like Sanctuary or Nevermore nearly as much. Um, so then they followed up, and that was with those two albums. And this album was with the original singer, this guy named by the name of Midnight. So 1991's Strange and Beautiful, which is a lot different. It was sounded more kind of almost influenced by grunge at points, but the last album with Midnight, it's the last one I have on CD. Strange and the Beautiful from 1991. So all right, let's see. Got a couple albums from this band who's released several other albums. They're a post-rock band, kind of in the vein of Clan Zoo, and they came after that, and Murder by Death, having like a sort of Western post-rock element with at times with strings. I know they're members of like Mogwai were involved with this band at one point. Crippled Black Phoenix, and they actually released a new album this past year, but they've released probably 7 or 8 albums. I haven't kept up with them, and some of their albums are long. But I have the debut album, which has a cover of Journeys of a Lifetime. I always think of it for, but it's like 2010, 2009, 2010. I didn't have it on the 2009. I think it was 2010, maybe 2011. It was around that time, but they've been around the last whatever it's been 15 years about. been pretty prolific. But then I did buy, I think this was the follow up at Half Price Books. I don't know if I paid for it. A love of shared water, waste of waters. The thing is, their albums became. This album isn't very long. The debut album, I didn't mention it's I Vigilante, but their albums got longer and longer. That was part of it. And then they were releasing like 2 albums in a year, like full length and neat. It got to be too much. I couldn't keep up with them. It's a love of shared disasters. I couldn't read this on the side. But this was like maybe 2013, somewhere in that range, early to mid 2010s. But it probably has a booklet in here, and I want to pull it out. So, anyway, I believe they're from the UK, and I thought some of the members of Mogwai, were involved with this band, but the post rock band, of course. All right, so I've shown this, of course. I got this just last year. The Crooked Fiddle Band. I thought I had one of their other records, but I've heard a few of their other records. But the Crooked Fiddle Band, the sort of frog prog band from acoustic chamber band from down under from Australia, I believe. The Free Wild Wind and the Songs of Birds from 2024. Really like this album. It finished my top 15. I don't remember if it finished in the top 10. I don't think it did, but really good record. I mean, it's got dynamics. They use like violin and cello, even some piano, some vocals, contrast of male and female vocals. Some of it's Deadly Night Snakes is probably my favorite, but like they're not a song I don't like on here. It's kind of mood music for the right. If you like when I listen to progressive acoustic music, Miracles of Modern Science did similar things, but anyway, the Free Wild Wind and the Song of Birds from the Crooked Fiddle Band, Australian acoustic prog band. Let's see here. So, all right, so I talked about this in 2004's Empire List. Crotch Duster, the sort of comedic but actually very eclectic band, very almost parody band. Their album Big Fat Box of Shit from 2004. There's really nothing like it. I mean, you could maybe Weird Al and Zappa at points, and I don't know, bands that, like some of the early Toe Hider, I guess, is a little bit like this, but Mammal Sauce is the one I always think of it most for. What's up, Emma Effers? I got something I need to say. If you don't have Mammal Sauce, you might as well be. They play the Fletch theme in here. It's just some of it's sort of extreme metal, some of it's kind of loungy music. Kind of remind me of Apes and Androids in a way, but less serious from a songwriting standpoint. But there's actually a lot of really good musicianship on this album. But Crotch Dusters, Big Fat Box of Shit, 2004. I don't know if we'll ever see anything else from them again, but it'd be fantastic. I didn't think we'd ever get a gospel album. We did, so I don't know. All right, so this album I think I got from someone as a gift at like the Prague Power USA Festival. Cryptic Vision, Moments of Clarity, 2003, Rick Duncan. I was given because I told them I did radio and points. I had a blog. People were just giving stuff out. I heard about this band later, but the only thing I can guess is it's probably of the prog or power metal vein, probably in the more modern sounding. So it probably has a lot of Dream Theater influence. But I don't think it's really extreme. It's like probably clean vocals. They got the song Grand Design that's just 7 minutes and 16 seconds, and the Moments of Clarity suite. But anyway, Rick Duncan, Cryptic Vision. I want to say he's been in other bands too, but anyway, 2003 Moments of Clarity from Cryptic Vision. So all right, this is the only compact disc I have from this band. I don't think I ever. Yeah, I bought one of their albums maybe on vinyl. I thought I did. I got this album. This is their masterpiece. It's Cynic's Focus, which I have this on vinyl as well. But here's the CD version I got, which is a re-release. Yeah, it has 6 bonus tracks on it. As you can see the little hype right up. It says 6 bonus tracks, or maybe on the front cover. Yeah, I mean, it has Veil of Maya, of course. That was the band that named them. One of the extreme metal bands took that name eventually. Textures also, it was hugely influential. The processed vocals, the jazzy moments. mixed with the death metal. Speaking of Florida, I mean, they came later than something like Crimson Glory, but they were another band that kind of, because they were members of Death. The guys that played, though, Sean Reinhardt, I believe, had played with Death. Um, but yeah, this is a fantastic, one of the best 20 or 30 progressive metal albums ever. You call it progressive metal, technical metal, very ahead of its time. Cynic's Focus from 1993. I didn't even say the year on that, but um, and then I have the last of the C's. One CD from the band Synthesis with a C. This is the members of Zero Hours. This is when Troy or Tipton was still able to play bass, I believe. And then they reunited with their original singer of Zero Hour, who now is the singer of Zero Hour again, Eric Rosvold, doing kind of almost heavy Pink Floydy kind of stuff. The only thing I remember about this, as much as I love a lot of the songwriting in the moment, because I love the second Zero album so much, Towers of Avarice, with him, with Eric Rosvold, the last one they did with until the one that came out a couple years ago. There's some production issues I had on this. The cymbals do clip at points, so but yeah, it has Jason Tipton, Dino Alden, but I mean it was an album that I was like initially really excited. I don't think they did a second one after this. I don't remember it being much better, but this is called De-Evolution. Came out in 2011. So Synthesis with a C. It was just a breath of fresh air to hear Eric Rosvold sing again, actually. So, because he sounds a little bit like Jeff Tate. His vocals were kind of distinct. It's not extreme. It's all clean vocals, but the emotion sort of he used in his vocals. But anyway, that's it for the C's. I'm off today. I got another appointment. I got to go to the dentist. Oddly, a long time since I've been to the dentist. But I may be able to do another and go on to the D, so I can. Again, I want to kind of motor through this, get through the CD compact disc collection. Realistically, if I focus on it, I can do like one or two of these a week after today. It could be done by say mid spring, maybe by May, maybe I don't know. We'll see. But thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.